everyone, and welcome to another episode of the VMblog Expert Interview Series. And today we're being joined by Haseeb Budhani, the founder and the CEO of Rafay. Welcome.
David, thanks for having me. Nice to talk to you.
Absolutely. It's my pleasure. So as this is the first time that we're doing one of these videos together, it would be great if we could start off and maybe you could just give us a quick background briefing on Rafay and maybe talk about what it offers and explain its primary benefits.
Absolutely. So Rafay is in a space that's beginning to be called Kubernetes management. The idea is that enterprises are now modernizing applications, choosing Kubernetes to deploy said applications on top of, and then they invest in a platform to think about, well, how do you build a cluster? Is it standardized? Do the right people have access to it? Can I deploy applications to them? Can I upgrade the clusters? Can I deploy my applications in a secure way? Can I get my logs out? Can I get my metrics out? Can I back up my cluster? Are my secrets actually secret? Am I putting them in Helm charts, or am I using HashiCorp Vault for that? On and on and on, right? So there's a litany of things that a DevOps team or a platform team in an enterprise is going to invest in above and beyond Kubernetes. We do that as a service. So our customer may be a CIO, but the consumer of our technology is a platform team or a DevOps team to whom we say, look, you have this massive backlog. We work for you now. We're going to shrink your backlog. We're going to work with you, and we're going to help you deliver essentially, a high-value service to two of your internal customers. And usually, the two customers are developers because they want to deploy applications, not think about Kubernetes, and then operations and SRE because they have to keep this stuff up and running at night. So we're going to help you solve for both of them. And oh, by the way, we're going to help you deploy and operate this infrastructure in a way that security, enterprise security, is going to be happy with the decisions you made. So there's going to be standardization, control, audits, everything else will be in place also. Net, this is we're trying to solve an enterprise problem with an enterprise-grade solution.
So that's a good jumping off point. We hear a lot about, Kubernetes management solutions, how they must be enterprise grade. Maybe tell us what that means to you. And if you could, explain the primary tenets of an enterprise grade Kubernetes management platform.
So to me, enterprise-grade Kubernetes management is 5 things. First and foremost is enterprise multi-tenancy. No enterprise is a flat organization. Every enterprise has sometimes multiple BUs, multiple teams, multiple production environments, and being able to leverage a well-understood concept like identity. So already our friends on the security side, they have a concept called software-defined perimeter. Applying SDP concepts to Kubernetes and using identity to decide who has access to what, to me, is really important. So this platform is A, multi-tenant, but B, it's built on zero trust principles. So whether you deploy applications, provision infrastructure, doesn't matter what you do, everything is identity-driven. So that's 2 things. This product has built-in workflows for everything. As we'll see in the product at some point, to provision infrastructure, to upgrade clusters, to deploy applications, we've built workflows such that our DevOps customers don't have to go create those workflows. So everything is a very simple framework for you to do the job you need to do. It's all job-oriented versus kind of feature-oriented, if that makes sense. Enterprise integrations. Your Kubernetes environment is going to live in your enterprise world. You have a Splunk or a Sumo or a New Relic or an AppD or all these other things that you already decided to use, and you've been using them for 10 years. You're not going to reinvent all these methodologies. Identity management, right? You have an Okta or a Ping. Your Kubernetes environment should just plug in. So we built all these integrations, and we have a pretty broad set of integrations we built in. And then number 4 is support. We provide enterprise support. 24/7, we have people in 3 time zones. We are here to help you. Doesn't matter what the question is, we will answer it for you. This is not a community Slack. We're not selling support, right? This is an enterprise-grade platform. Our customers expect an answer, right, immediately, and we show up. And then finally, this is a SaaS product. Enterprises are becoming cloud first. They're going to AWS because AWS is effectively a data center as a service. Why should Kubernetes management be software? Why should I buy software and then run it and then allocate resources on my team just so I can manage the controller. No, I want to consume this as a service. These are all key requirements for Kubernetes management. Without this, I don't see how an enterprise can consume Kubernetes management at scale.
And if you could too, maybe talk about some of your specific use cases for your solution, and are there any particular industries that are most in need of Rafay?
So this platform does 5 things. Not all customers will use all 5. All of them use one of them, and I'll talk about it when I get to that one, but not all of them use 5 because not everybody is at the same point in their journey towards modernization, right? Some have been doing this a while, some are early, right? So the folks who are super early, for them, standardization of things like provisioning of infrastructure. How do I build an EKS cluster? How do I build a GKE cluster? How do I build a Kubernetes cluster on premise? Standardization is key, right? So we provide cluster provisioning, lifecycle management of clusters, upgrades, that kind of stuff, node creation, et cetera. And that's a key capability for a Kubernetes platform. But I gotta tell you, David, to me, that is, I don't know, I think 5% of the problem. The fact that we can build clusters is good, but it's not that interesting. You know what I mean? That's done already, right? EKS exists already. All these things exist already. But we do that. We provide that capability. In fact, for EKS as one example, we have hands down the most turnkey capability to help customers deploy EKS clusters in Amazon. So one other thing that we've seen now, and this to me is an important requirement, is enterprises, when they go to Amazon, they use EKS. When they go to Azure, they use AKS. When they go to Google, they use GKE. They don't bring the same Kubernetes distribution everywhere. It doesn't make any sense anymore because all of these cloud providers provide really elegant distributions already, managed services. On premise, Rafay provides a curated distribution. We have it, it's very good. But I tell my customers, don't use Rafay's distribution in Amazon. Why would you do that? EKS exists already, right? So you have to be distro agnostic, which is another thing we have to think about. And that ties into the cluster provisioning. So we do that, cluster provisioning. Then we provide application deployment. So we have a very elegant GitOps model built in where customers can have Rafay listen to webhooks from github.com or GitHub Enterprise or GitLab. And as developers writing code and checking it in, Rafay gets a callback saying new containers are available, and Rafay will trigger a deployment of a container into your clusters, and developers can do their job, debug, right? So we built a very elegant developer workflow. So that's kind of application deployment. It's very, very good. Third is the integrations we talked about earlier. So we've thought about our customers' journey as to all the things they have to do to make Kubernetes work in their environment. Security-wise, access-wise, like tying to Okta, all of these things, all of these things we've thought through. And we have a pretty broad kind of array of capabilities to help our customers plug in Kubernetes across clouds into their enterprise systems. So that's integration, third bucket. This one, by the way, everybody uses. Number 4 is fleet management. Nobody's got one cluster, right? Nobody's got one cluster. Nobody's got one cluster. Everybody starts at 3, dev, pre-prod, prod, and then it goes from there, right? Then that team says, I want my own, and that team says, I want my own, and that team says, I want to be in EKS, and you just bought a company, they happen to be in Azure, and you got a fleet. How do you know they look the same? How do you know Prisma Cloud is running everywhere? Prisma Cloud client. Right? How do you know that's working everywhere? How do you know New Relic is running everywhere? How do you know that the pod security policy or now going forward, OPA, the same policies exist on all the clusters across all the clouds? Where's that happening, right? So this is fleet management. So we provide capabilities around provisioning at scale, deployment at scale, management of configuration at scale. So that's number 4. Everybody uses that feature. And then finally, and this one absolutely everybody uses, in fact, the enterprise architecture teams in large enterprises and the security teams in large enterprises appreciate the most is governance and security. David should only access those 2 clusters, but that other one, he should only access in read-only mode, but he can't see all the other 17. How do you do that? How do you do that when you're across multiple sites? So because this platform is built on zero trust principles, it's identity aware. And so many of us come from a company called Akamai, lots of proxies in the background here, backdrop here. So we've designed the system to essentially behave as like a almost like a kubectl proxy on the internet. So you interact with Rafay, Rafay determines who you are, and then based on who you are and what you are allowed to access, you access, and everything is audited. So the governance capabilities built into the product, they just happen naturally. If you use Rafay, it just happens. We provide you all this information. Security teams like a lot. So these are the 5 buckets. So provisioning, app deployment, integrations, fleet management, and then governance and security.
And, you know, doing some reading up on you guys, it looks like, correct me if I'm wrong, but it looks like your company has grown by more than 800% last year. To what do you attribute that success to?
I think timing, luck and timing. I think we happen to have the right solution, which seems to be the easiest solution to use in the market. SaaS, right? It's just very easy to consume at a time when small and medium enterprises, as well as large enterprises, are in a hurry to modernize their applications and move into the cloud. So look, particularly in a startup, as you know well, right? I mean, you know, you can build the best product, but if nobody cares, right, it doesn't matter. It's just, you know, it's a great solution at absolutely the right time in the industry, and the company's growing. And, you know, we could not have timed this better, frankly. I mean, you know, how do you know you're timed it perfectly? You're coming apart at the seams everywhere, right? That's how you know, right? It's like, you know, the solution architects are so busy and the sales guys are so busy and developers are like, guys, you keep asking us to build more features, stop. It's a great time to be working at Rafay.
And then, you know, what are some of the key things that technology leaders should know about Kubernetes management, the best practices in terms of security, operations, and integrations with existing development, DevOps frameworks?
So, I mean, this is an important question because before we show up in an enterprise, most enterprises have made certain decisions around how are they going to do infrastructure as code, for example? Are they going to be a Terraform shop, or are they going to be a GitHub Action shop, or something, right? And it would behoove a Kubernetes management company to, well, work with any of these, right? So if you have a methodology you've chosen, we got to plug it in or plug into it. And if you have not yet chosen a methodology, in fact, every time I do a demo, I tell customers, look, I'm going to show you the UI because UIs make for good demos, but don't do this in production. UIs are good for self-service developer portals, whatnot, but operationally, you should be using Git as your source of truth. You have to. And everything should be a spec, cluster applications, etc., that sit in Git. So it's easy to monitor who's doing what. It's easy to go back and kind of look at what's changed, right? And kind of setting up that foundation is really, really important. Now, whether you use Terraform to do these kind of the triggers, or whether you use Jenkins if you're old school and you want to use Jenkins, that's fine, it's okay. But the source of truth has to be Git, and I'm seeing that happen consistently. And many of our super early customers who may not have yet gotten there, usually when we close the deal, you know, some of our customers ask the question, hey, can you engage with us for I don't know, a month and just help us kind of make better decisions. So we've helped many of our customers now. Adopt like a Git model, help them kind of build the initial specs, help them think about here's what a Helm chart looks like, guys, and then they take it from there. But yeah, standardization now, right? Don't wait a year to say, look, we're so early. It's okay. We'll do this next year. No. Do it now. Because once you have the framework in place, the automation in place, this pace at which new applications show up in production, it's actually mind-blowing. So do it right now. Right? And then you're going to see how fast your company moves. Don't wait.
Now, I'd be remiss if I didn't ask you something about futures or, key trends that are coming. So while I have you here on the hot seat, maybe you could talk about what you expect industry practices to be around Kubernetes and its management and how it'll evolve over the next few years. So the following I've said once or twice, and it's always a fun argument to have with people. So to me, Kubernetes management is a commodity. Commodity doesn't mean free. Commodity doesn't mean easy, right? Any commodities trader will tell you, it's not free. I think that the thing that leaders are recognizing, I think I'm seeing this already, and over the next few years, is going to happen in a more pronounced way,
leaders are saying, hey, so I built a platform team who did whatever automation. And then when I go interact with my peers, CIO peers or whatever, they're all doing the same exact thing. How is this good for my business? Why am I investing in this? And firstly, I can't hire the right resources. There's just not enough people out there who can do all these things. And I have this massive backlog, and I'm working on the infrastructure here. If I could take all these smart engineers and have them focus on the application, like the real value where companies make money, I think that's a better decision. So some of the inbound that started for us is really around that, right? People recognizing that, look, I've been doing this automation stuff for the last 2 or 3 years. I've built a pretty large team, and not really sure where do I go from here, because this team is only going to grow, which means the percentage of my budget spent on infrastructure automation is only growing, right? But I'm not actually moving as fast as I thought I would. Is there a way for me to take these individuals who are clearly very sharp and have them work on value? That'd be better. Because to them, it's a commodity. To them, my competitor's doing the same thing, and my other buddy's doing the same thing, and that other company's doing the same thing. Why? Isn't this why we went to Amazon in the first place? We were all maintaining data centers, and we're like, what is the point of this? Let's go to AWS. So same thing seems to be happening here, where people are looking at vendors saying, you do this for me, right? I'm going to have my people work on more important things. This is just not interesting. I mean, it's important, right? But it's not a differentiator for my business. Everybody's going to be doing Kubernetes, right? You do it for me. So that pull, we talked about timing earlier, like a few minutes ago. That is timing, right? That's perfection in timing, where I'm seeing that trend where people are saying, I need a partner to do this for me. I'm not going to do this in-house. The same way I moved away from data centers and went to Amazon or Azure.
And it'd be great if we can kind of follow this up with a quick demo. Is there something that you can show the audience so they can see some of the stuff we've been talking about?
Sure. So we got a couple of hours, or how much time we got?
Yeah, a few minutes. However,
sure. Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
All right, let me see. All right, sir. So I'm going to log into Rafay. By the way, as we discussed, this is a SaaS product. I hope I remember my password. I guess my browser remembers my password. So this is a multi-tenant product. It is, being a SaaS product, of course, it's multi-tenant at a company by company. We have multiple customers. But even within an enterprise, it's a multi-tenant product where an enterprise can have multiple BUs. And I just jumped into a different BU. And this BU has many, many environments. This BU is running 13 different teams. They have 15 different clusters. Some team has 1 cluster, some team has 3 clusters, et cetera, right? So it's a very flexible system. Each of these teams, let's just go to one of them. All right, so this team's running a single cluster. It looks like they have no alerts. So just the dashboarding, by the way, just the ability to be able to simply very quickly see, for example, wow, somebody in this team is running a node cluster. Whoa, let's go fix that, right? What's up with that? All right, so this is somebody running a demo cluster. It's a Rafay Kubernetes running on bare metal, highly available somewhere. And by the way, it happens to be running NVIDIA. So maybe we should go look into that. That should be fixed. All of the stuff that I'm doing here, I'm kind of looking around. Maybe I, as a developer or an infrastructure admin, I can go and build new infrastructure. Everything I'm showing in the UI, there's a CLI for, there's an API for. So please feel free to interact with the Rafay system using an API or a CLI. So it's a very elegant CLI we built. So you can do this programmatically from your Jenkins system or via Terraform or programmatic. All these things could be done, but we made it so easy for our customers to provision infrastructure in a public cloud or on-prem. So you can build clusters with Rafay, of course. You can upgrade clusters with Rafay. You can get access to clusters via browser or download a kubeconfig and do what you need to do. No VPNs, it just works. I can set up security policies for clusters. I can do this with PSPs. I can do this with OPA. I can back up and restore my clusters. These are production clusters. You better think about backup and restore, right? So we have that built in. You don't need to go buy another product for this. It's already ready to go. It's part of the platform. You can deploy applications to this cluster. And these applications can be Helm charts. They can be YAML files. And we also provide a wizard model. So if your teams are early and they don't know YAML yet, we will auto-generate YAML for them. All this can be done manually, or you can pull them from a repository like a Git or a Helm repo. We support GitOps built in. So there are, we go to a better project. I know my QA friends do a lot of GitOps. So they're running many, many pipelines, multi-stage pipelines that can all be hooked back to a trigger coming from Git, depending on the repository. So it could be a GitHub or a GitLab repo. And all the integrations around, registry management, elk stacks, Splunk integrations, Hashika Vault integrations, all these things are built in. What I just showed you, David, this is any enterprise's roadmap. Build clusters, deploy applications. By the way, the one thing I should call out, anything I've done here, it's audited. And you can take these audits and put them into your Splunk. And of course, everything should be tied to an identity provider, right? So you can bring your Okta or Duo or Ping or Azure AD, whatever system of truth you use for identity management, you should be plugging that into Rafay. But we just walked through any enterprise's roadmap to modernization when it comes to infrastructure. Show me one thing we missed. This is a very, very complete platform.
Well, that was a great demo. Definitely, complete solution. For the folks who are watching this video at home, where can they go to learn more information about the company, the things that we talked about today, and how do they get their hands on this solution?
Yeah. So the URL is Rafay, RAFAY.co. I think I'm wearing the right. That's my uniform every day. .co. And on the website, please feel free to sign up for the product. There's a top right, there's a button to sign up. That's a nice thing about SaaS products. You can take it for a spin this afternoon, start provisioning clusters, do what you need to do. If you need help, our community Slack is rafay.community.slack.com. Sign up, ask questions. We're here to help. We have a team that's available 24/7 to do so.
Perfect. Well, thank you. I appreciate you taking time today to talk with the VMblog viewers, and we look forward to seeing what comes next.
Thank you, David. Really enjoyed the conversation.
All right.